Yes, it seems that this is a very important question for utilitarians, how they view, say, the value or the disvalue of human extinction. Because some hedonists, like Epicurus, for example, would say that, of course, if at some point all humans died, there would be no joy, but there would be no suffering either. There would be no one to miss out on this. While, so it seems he has kind of, perhaps Epicurus and David Benatar as well, would hold the extreme on the one side, while Toby Ord seems to hold this very strong, what one might call the deprivationist account, where there is still someone who misses out on this. Do you side more towards one view than the other here?
Yeah, let me just say, I think there's two different things going on here that it might be worth separating. One is whether you are an optimist or a pessimist about human life as it is now, right? So you mentioned David Benatar. So David Benatar believes, if I understand him correctly, that life on the whole is bad already now. That is, that even for each of us, our lives have more negative things in them, more suffering than they do happiness. So if that's so, and if that's likely to continue to be so, and Benatar thinks it is, then it wouldn't be a good thing for our species to continue. Really, it would be best if we all stopped having children so that the species doesn't continue. And that's true whether you're focused on people who are existing already or people who will exist. So that's one question, and on that I'm an optimist. It does seem to me that life for most humans now, and for many non-humans, although it's a bit more debatable with some non-human animals perhaps, but that life is on the whole positive rather than negative. There's more happiness or well-being than there is suffering. The other question is, would it matter if no more beings were to come into existence? So there's nobody who misses out. This is the Epicurean point. There's nobody who's, waiting there in limbo, thinking, "Oh, damn! Now I'm never going to get born." That's obviously nonsense. So that's not what we ought to worry about. But should we worry about the fact that there will not be more beings who will have rich, fulfilling, happy lives? And here I think, yes, we should. And one brief argument as to why we should is, think of the negative case. Think of a couple who are told by a genetic counselor that if they have a child, this child will suffer from a genetic disease that will cause the child to suffer horribly for, let's say, a year and then die. And there's no cure, no treatment. But suppose the woman says, "Oh, never mind, I'd like to experience being pregnant and I want to have my own child, and I don't really care whether my child suffers or not, I just want to have the experience of that." I think we would think that that was a really horrible thing to do, to inflict a year of suffering on a child when you don't have to get pregnant, don't have to have that child. So if that's a bad thing, if we're saying now, even though the child doesn't exist now, we're saying you should not go ahead with this, because if you do, there will be a future child who will be miserable, and that will be bad, then it's hard to see why we shouldn't also say, if you have good reason for thinking that your child is likely to be happy, let's say you're a couple who live in an affluent, secure country, you're by temperament, you're people who are happy with life, positive rather than depressed, and you know that you have genes that will pass this on to your child. So your child is very likely to have a good, happy life. If it's a bad thing to bring the miserable child in the world, I'm inclined to say it's a good thing to bring the happy child into the world. Again, other things being equal, right? Of course, maybe the world is overpopulated and it's going to be bad for other people to have more children. But I'm assuming here we're talking about a situation in which that isn't the case. We're just talking about it from the point of view of the future child.